Algebra 2, here's Chapter 3, Section 7. This is going to be another one that's going to be an example of finding percent change, but I'm going to be sidetracked, and I know I will, so I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. I'm from Pittsburgh. Those people don't know me, and I live in Colorado now, so when I find a Pittsburgh little thing, I try to go with it a little bit. So the very first pro football player was paid on November 12, 1892 by the Allegheny Athletic Association, and his name was William Pudge Heffelfinger, and he was paid $500 to play a game of football. This game is considered the start of professional football, and I was like, okay, well, Allegheny. I know Allegheny County is where I used to live, which is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's Allegheny County. So then I did some more research, and I found out that in the 1960s, a man named Nelson Ross walked into Art Rooney's office, and Art Rooney is the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Go Steelers! And I gave him a 49-page manuscript about how the Pittsburgh paper had it wrong, and they claimed that this John Bralier was the first paid football player out of the Latrobe Athletic Association, which Latrobe is just outside of Pittsburgh, for those people that don't know. But he found out, and looking at all the ledgers and the dates and everything of the professional football leagues that were about, or the football leagues back then, that in fact, this Heffelfinger was paid $500 cash for just one game, and he was paid out of the Allegheny Athletic Association fund. He originally was offered by the Pittsburgh Athletic Club to pay him $250, but he felt that that wasn't enough to jeopardize his amateur status, so he didn't take it. Heffelfinger was actually paid $25 for his expenses and a bonus of $500, so he was actually paid $525. And this was kind of a controversy back then because they didn't pay their athletes to play against each other. So there was this huge to-do about if this should be allowed or not allowed. Well, the very next game, Pittsburgh actually paid two different players, and it grew from there. And then on a second side note, my father actually played back in the day. So this is, do we have a date in here? We do. He graduated high school in 1946 from Swissville High School, which is right outside of Pittsburgh, or kind of Pittsburgh-ish. And then he went on to play college ball at St. Joseph's. And so he played football and he played baseball, and this article is about his baseball career, actually. But it was kind of interesting to look up and find some family history that I didn't know about my dad. So anyway, the problem states from the book, the National Football League fields are 120 yards long, and the Canadian Football League fields are 25% longer. What is the length of the Canadian football field? So if we've got 120 yards and they are 25% longer, well, we're going to have to add on 25% of what? Well, of the original amount to find out how much total yardage there is in the football field. So we're going to take this 120 and we're going to add, and again, we can't take 25%, so we got to change that into the decimal. And then it's a matter of grabbing a calculator. So 0.25 times 120 would be 30. So we've got 120 plus 30. And so the Canadian football fields are 150 yards long. So what is the length of the Canadian football field? 150 yards.